We were only in Helmand for like 3 months, and then we got pushed. The whole battalion got pushed back together because we were coalition force. We were losing Kandahar at the time. Like the Taliban were pushing in there. You know, we got sent back to SFAB Walton and regrouped there as a battalion, and we were pushing our battalion into the Arghandab River Valley, which 117 infantry out of 2nd ID were there, and they had the strikers. And they weren't pushing it into the valley. They were pretty much containing. And they actually lost a lot of dudes in there because they were doing this striker doctrine. They were losing like 9 guys at a pop because they were just putting these giant IEDs in there and just taking them out. So I forget, the commanding general for ISAF wanted a light infantry battalion to go in there, and we were just happened to be an extra light infantry battalion. Of course, our battalion commander was probably pushing for it, here and there.
Yeah.
So he wanted his battalion together. He had companies everywhere, platoons all over the place. So he brought us together, and we went into the Arghandab, and that's where those 2 books. We had 2 books written about our company alone. One about my platoon was in that deployment.
All right, guys, so we're sitting here once again, and we're joined by our guest, Matt Hill.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, appreciate you coming all this way. And we didn't know all this way meant from Massachusetts.
Yep, just moved out of there from Fort Bragg and went back north.
Now I hear the Massachusetts
There it is. There, go Pats.
We knew the kind of garage was going to be coming out of some point.
That's one of the things we got to figure out as we're watching the game on Sunday.
But you're also coming down here and getting a chance to see some friends and everything at Fort Benning, I heard.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the main reasons we agreed to this. Like, I get to see some of the guys that you don't see people in the military up in New England that much. And that's one of the things I do miss about the military.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that because are you originally from, obviously, Massachusetts, Boston area or where?
No, I was born in Worcester, but I grew up in a small town south of Worcester called Millbury.
Millbury. Why do I know that name, though? What's it famous for? Is there something? No?
Nothing really other than making the middle of the baseballs for all the Major League Baseballs.
See, that may be what it is then.
But, yeah, it's about 50 miles west of Boston.
Okay. You get the leaves changing and stuff then.
Oh, yeah, they're already falling.
Oh, see, I was going to ask you about that because we always want to try to plan to go up there to see the change, but it's real tricky. You're going
to be one of those guys that drives really slow on the highway. Everybody honks the horn driving by, like, what are you doing?
Just get random Dunkin' cups thrown into your car.
Probably.
You might get some hand and arm signals thrown at you, too.
Yeah, that'll probably be me. But no, okay, I got a general idea of the area. So you grew up, went to high school and everything there?
Yep, did everything there. I was an Army brat. My dad was stationed up at Fort Devens for like ever when I was still there.
What was his, that's right, he was in Special Forces.
He was he was a commo guy, SF commo guy for years. He did like 10 years in 10th group. Then he went to 11th group in the reserves. Then he ended up in 20th group and got out in like 97, like 96, the year before I came in the Army.
Okay, so when you said 11th, a lot of people are not going to recognize that, but there was 11th and 12th Special Forces group that were part of the Army Reserve at one point.
Yep.
So you had 4 reserve units, 11th, 12th, 1920th, 1920th being the National Guard. So pretty cool that your dad was part of that. So he probably folded the colors up there then.
Yeah, did in 93 when they closed down Devens. I actually was there as a kid watching all that.
Was that right?
Then they switched over to 20th group.
Well, I wondered what happened to that. I wondered if it made sense. I mean, you have all these guys that are already qualified. Why the hell would you let them just go?
Yeah, they got absorbed into a whole new company that moved from, like, I think it was like Virginia or Maryland that wasn't getting enough people, so they just reflagged them as Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion, I think.
Okay. So how long did he end up staying in then, total?
It's like 25 years.
Okay, so Vietnam?
Just missed it. He actually went to, his draft number came up, and before he actually was going to go into the draft, he went to the recruiter and walked into the recruiting station and said, I want to learn everything there is about fighting a war before I go. And he just happened to be talking to an SF guy that was on recruiting duty.
Nice.
He goes, well, son, I got something for you. You can stay in New England, too. And so went to basic at Fort Dix, went to commo school down in Gordon, then he went to Airborne school, then up to Bragg, and after Bragg, he was up at Fort Devens, Mass. his whole career.
As a reservist?
No, he was in 10th group for like
So I'm
8 years.
Well, 10th group, right? 10th group. That makes sense. Okay, not 10th. But I'm trying to think of like, how did he go in? And at that time, I want to say you had to have 2 years enlistment and E4 as a rank.
I asked my dad the same thing, and he was like, "No, it was like the Vietnam War. It's kind of like our long war that we had."
So the policy changed after that.
Yeah, the policy. The kids could come right off the road. Now he did spend a lot of time when he did get to 10th group, and there used to be a signal company up there with like all the junior 18 series commo kids would hang out for a while. So he worked there for a while. Then he got sent to a team in 2nd Battalion.
Okay, because when I came in the Army, obviously there was something that I was dear to me. I actually wanted to do it. John Wayne, the Green Beret, the whole thing, you know. And so I went down and talked with them about that. The posters were on the wall, and they were like, "Nah, yeah, you got to go in enlisted first." Well, I didn't even go infantry. I ended up going armor, so that flew by the wayside anyway. But then I thought about even still put in the packet, but they said you had to be at least an E4, had to have 2 years of service. So when they created the 18 X-ray program, you know, that's pretty fantastic. Of course, it's because they needed all these SF guys.
Well, they also added an extra battalion in each one of the groups. They were overtasked at that time.
Yeah,
big time. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so you grew up there. Your dad being Army. Is that the reason why you decided to go Army yourself?
100%.
Yeah.
The funny is, my dad didn't push me to go to any MOS or really.
Never talked to you then.
No, he did. He talked to me all the time about the Army. The only thing he told me is like, if you're going in the Army, do what you want to do. Just don't be a leg. Just don't be a leg. He couldn't go over because he was still in the Army. He's like, I just couldn't go around my friends. And I ended up being on an 11 mic and a leg for 2 years.
No. Did you go in 11 X-ray to where they assigned you Mike when you got to Benning?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you had Bravo, Charlie, or Mike that you could...
No, there was 4.
There was 4.
11 Bravo, 11 Charlie, Mike, and Hotel. Hotel, which used to be the Delta companies and the light infantry units. They were their heavy weapons companies that had the 2 missiles.
Yeah, I was going to say they were the tow gunners and stuff. Yeah.
They used to be its own MOS.
Yeah, I do remember that time frame. And then they Mechanized started coming in real big, so they started making it to where most of the guys going through OSIT were going Mike.
Well, there were more divisions that had mechanized forces at that time.
So you were a dismount on a Bradley when you got there?
Well, yeah. It was like when I got to OSIT, it was like 4 platoons, and each platoon they assigned, like, I was in 2nd platoon, so that's your 11 Mike platoon. And then they had one, I felt bad for the kids, they all became 11 Charlies. And they're like, oh, what's that? It's like, and I knew what those were.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that iconic picture of the 82nd in the Persian Gulf War, the kid carrying like an 81 base plate up a sand dune. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that. And that's all I can picture is like, okay, that's what you guys are going to do. Nah, I went to Mike School, which back in the day used to have a 2-week course after OSIT that everybody went to learn how to start PMCS it and like drive it.
It's the equivalent of the Striker course when I went through. They were taking 19 Deltas and shoving them over to the Striker course. I think they were doing that for 11s.
Yeah, they were doing that down there. The strike, I forget what battalion it is over down in Benning, but
the Striker Leader course or
it's like 129 or something like that.
So what was your first assignment then?
Fort Hood, Texas.
Oh.
1st Cav Division.
Nice. Not really.
The only thing nice was the weather. I got there in December and it was like, oh, wow, it's 80 degrees out. This is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot more mechanized units, like you said, but Fort Hood was really big at that time frame. Fort Knox, I think, was really big at that time frame.
Well, Fort Hood had actually 2 divisions on it at that time.
Yeah.
It had, well, one brigade was up in Carson from 4th ID, but 4th ID had 2 armor brigades there.
Yeah.
And back then, it wasn't like where they were a unit of action where they had 2 companies of Brads and 2 companies of tanks. It was like the whole battalion was mechanized and they slice off companies to whatever battalion. Like I was in 1st Brigade, which is an armor brigade, so 1 battalion infantry, 2 battalions tanks. The 3rd Brigade was just the opposite. It was an infantry brigade combat team, so we had 2 Bradley battalions and 1 armor battalion.
Yeah. So Fort Hood, how long do you end up staying there?
2 years and 2 months. I usually say I was there 2 years, 2 months, too long.
You re-enlisted or?
Yeah, I re-enlisted to get out of there.
Did you got Korea?
No, I actually deployed to Bosnia with the 1st Cav back in the day.
Is that right?
Yep. That was my first deployment was Bosnia.
What was that like?
Well, it was, for one, it was cold. We were in the winter rotation.
Yeah.
We went there for 6 months and we did a lot of like peacekeeping and like riot control. We did a lot of security for mass grave sites where the CBs would go dig up like where the Bosniaks and the Serbs would
we're killing each other. And
they'd be ethnic cleansing villages and stuff like that. It was, when we got there, It was the United States Army was already there for like 3 years, so there's a lot of stuff that was cleaned up. And we'd drive through whole villages that were just flattened, were for ethnic cleansing and stuff. It was, and there was mines everywhere. It was just just a lot of driving in the mountains, pulling security. It was a traditional peacekeeping operation.
Yeah. I see Bosnia. I'm trying to think. That was
94 is when First Armor crossed the Sava River.
Okay. Yeah. That time frame, I was at Fort Benning because it was Bosnia. It was I don't know what the name of the operation was, but it was Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, that's the name of the country, Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was Operation Joint Forge or something weird.
So after Bosnia, did you come back and you end up getting a different assignment?
We came back from Fort Hood. I was there for like another 6 months, and my re-enlistment window opened. I only did a 3-year hitch the first time. That's one thing my dad did tell me. He's like, do the lowest you can. In case you hate your job, you can change it.
They didn't have the 2-year option at that point.
I didn't want to do that just because it's like, I'll do the 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did the 3-year option, and at 12 months out from my window, I re-enlisted to go to the 82nd Airborne Division.
So it means you automatically got an airborne option.
Yeah, at first I had to change my MOS, which was weird because like 2 years later they got rid of my.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because how did you go from 11? How did you convince the Army to let you out of 11 mic, which was pretty critical at that time?
Yeah, it took a while. It took like 3 months for the career counselor at I was at 25 Cav, and he's like, "Oh, this is hard. It's just like I can't change your MOS." It's like, why? I already went through the training. All our secondary MOSs were 11 Bravos because we went to the same training as the Bravos did.
It should be a 4187 at that point.
It was, but none of the commanders wanted to sign off on it, which they had to by regulation. They had to sign off on it. And finally get up to HRC. HRC came back, it's like, hey, he's good to go. But the funny thing, the guy was trying to hook me up, said, hey, I got airborne assignment en route to Hawaii. He's like, I don't want to go to Hawaii. I'm probably the only kid at that time that didn't want to go to Hawaii. And it's like, I want to go to an airborne unit. I want to jump out of planes.
Yeah, what's funny that you said that because we actually had God, what's his name from? We had a person that went airborne and then went to, it was Duke, I think it was.
Yeah.
Went airborne for an engineer assignment and then went to 25th ID, which made absolutely no sense in terms of an enlistment contract to both of us.
Yeah.
Well, back then, and only reason I know this because when I was a black hat at 507 for a while.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was honestly one of my favorite assignments in the Army.
Yeah.
I mean, there's days that just were horrible and sucked.
Did you have to run everywhere?
I mean, we didn't. Not when you're not an instructor. The rag hats, the guys that don't have their black hats, that's who you make run students back and forth to their training areas. But learning those back then, you could re-enlist to go to the school and never be on jump assignment. Like I was just over to 507 today talking to some of the guys there. They don't do that anymore. Now it's just you have to be on an airborne assignment to go to the school.
Oh, okay. So you end up going to 82nd Airborne. Where'd you end up going into?
I was in 2nd Brigade. I got to 2nd of the 325, and I was there was only in that unit for like 8 months until they offered, hey, 1st Battalion's going to Kosovo. We'll need volunteers to round out the battalion. I was like, there was no war going on. It's 2000, so it's like, I was getting ready to do PRC. I was like, Ranger School's not going there. Deployments back then were not a big thing. So it was like, I'll jump. Everybody was jumping on the bandwagon to go on this deployment. So I went back to the Balkans, this time to Kosovo.
Did you have to go get your master jump wings or anything like that?
No, because Jumpmaster School, you have to be a sergeant or above. I was only a specialist at the time.
Yeah.
But later on, I did go to Jumpmaster School.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that because that's a real big thing at 82nd.
Oh, yes.
Much more than like...
Did you go to the 82nd Jumpmaster or the Benning Jumpmaster?
Well, I did both.
Oh, okay. Oh, good, because you became a black hat and you had to go to the Benning.
No, I actually failed Jumpmaster School at Bragg.
Oh, that's why you went to both.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean... Some of the most successful people in the Army fail.
Absolutely.
You learn more from failure than your success. That's what I always tell lieutenants. They always want to, like, especially when I was an ops sergeant major, they all want to be like perfect. It's like, don't learn from your mistakes. You're going to learn more from that one mistake than all the success you'll have in your entire career.
Yeah.
So what was this school? What got you at the schoolhouse then at 82nd?
Well, that was years later. Like, I did my first tour with the 82nd. I did like almost 6 years there. And I was just there so long. I was like, I need to leave because I get pigeonholed. And so I re-enlisted to go to Korea for a year. So they offered me a nice bonus to do 1 year and come back to Fort Bragg. They gave me a half a choice. I'm like, I'll come back.
So you went unassigned?
No, I went to, on my re-enlistment contract, I re-enlisted to go to Korea. Then I had on the re-enlistment contract, if you volunteered back then, you can get a half a choice, which a half was an assignment of a choice.
Yeah.
most people try to go to Germany and stuff like that. I went back to Bragg. I didn't really want to leave Bragg. I liked it there.
Yeah.
You just wanted the career progression. You wanted to expand.
Everybody back in the day had to do an overseas assignment.
Yeah.
But were you married at that time?
No, I didn't get married until I came back from Korea.
Oh, okay. All right. Because unaccompanied is what I was talking about.
Yeah, I was on a company, did the 12-month tour over there.
Right. So a lot of single guys or married guys could do the same thing. Instead of staying 24 months, bring your spouse over, you did 12 months. And so.
Did you go as a 6 or a 5?
I got promoted to 6. And no, I got promoted before. It was before I was a staff sergeant.
So you got there, but you didn't come back a 5, right?
No, not that old saying. The fastest way to make E5 is to go there and E6. Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of that though, because a lot of those NCOs would go to Korea and they'd be like, "Oh, I can make up this NCO. It's only 1 year," and they wouldn't do shit. They would just party, hang down with the drinky girls down in the Ville,
soju and the juicy girls.
Oh yeah,
man.
It was like I did not do that. I was the guy that was always volunteered to do the CCP and the courtesy patrol, just because you have more fun watching all these people get stupid drunk than try to walk back and beat the gate at curfew. Yeah, it's like, oh, they're running, they're not gonna make it.
How was the DMZ?
We only went up there a couple times. We trained up at Warrior Base. I think it was like right on the DMZ.
Yeah,
it was always in the winter, so it was always miserable because Korea is so cold.
Yeah. So we only had to do one assignment then to Korea. Then.
One assignment, then I came back to Bragg.
So yeah, so I know that you spent a shit ton of time at Fort Bragg.
21 years total.
And only one time then did you leave, and that was Korea?
No, I left. I did my first hitch there, where I went to Kosovo. I went to Kosovo, then I did the invasion of Iraq with the 82nd.
Okay.
Came back, went to Korea in late 04, 05. Did 5 more years in the 82nd and the old 4th Brigade. Left there, then I went down to Fort Benning to be a black hat down there with the 507th. I did 3 years there.
Oh.
Then I left.
That's where the black hat came in.
Yep. Okay. After that, I left being a black hat, went back to the 3rd Brigade 82nd. Then it's funny, I came on orders to SFAB. I didn't, like a lot of people volunteer. I got voluntold. You're going to SFAB. That's another story I can tell you later.
Yeah, we're going to get there in just a minute. Yeah. So let's back up, because I wanted to talk about your time there at Benning, or after you left Korea and everything. Then you got your assignment back to Benning. And when you go
Bragg,
back to Bragg, I'm sorry, back to Bragg. What time frame was that? What year?
I came back to Bragg in 06. I did 1 year. I did all of 05 in Korea.
But so then let's back up even further, because you said you deployed 82nd's first deployment over.
Yeah, I went to.
What year was that?
03. We were there for the invasion with 2nd Brigade.
Wow. What was that like?
Well, we were there a lot longer than we got credited for. That's one thing. It's like they only credited us for the 12 months we were in Iraq. We were in Kuwait for like almost 3 months.
Prior.
Yeah, but we didn't sit out in the desert like 3rd ID and all the Marines. They were out in where what's that base now that's out there? That's they had all those little camps, like Camp New York, Camp Pennsylvania.
Not Leatherneck.
No, it's a permanent post there in Kuwait now, where the brigade sits there, the Ready Brigade.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't remember. It's a shithole. I mean, dust move around. But we were staying at Kuwait International Airport, because we were supposed to jump in with the Rangers up into Baghdad International. Back then it was called Saddam International Airport, and we stayed there, so we didn't have to sit out in the desert. But we mostly did our training out on an island out in the middle of the Persian Gulf called Falaka Island. It was awesome. We took the flatboat out there, trained, came back, went back out there. We went out there like 3 times and trained for like 2 weeks at a pop. And the cool part is all the buildings are out there, the same buildings they had in Iraq. So we got like hands-on training of like how Middle Eastern homes are built. And we were using, because after the first Gulf War, the Kuwaitis never went back to Falaka. So this whole island was left with furniture in the buildings, everything. Wow. So we just trained out there, and it was awesome because you're getting real world where they put their furniture, how the kitchens are set up. So when we finally got into Iraq, when we landed at Talil Air Base and went to fight in the Battle of Asamoah, it's like, oh, this is the houses like we had on Falaka. So it was like the guys already knew how most of the layouts would be. It wasn't like a surprise. Like a lot of people don't realize it's not like a house in America where there's a big foyer, opens in the house. When you walk in a house in Iraq, it's like there's a wall right there. So it was a great training.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So you guys were doing like CQB and everything.
Yeah, and it was the best training we had, because, marching all the way up through the Kuwait, after Kuwait and into Battle of Asamoah, then we actually went to Fallujah next, We were the first. We walked into Fallujah and into what's that air base up there? I forget what it was, but they were using it when we were fighting all those other dudes up there.
Was 2003? I'm trying to think, like 173rd. I think
that's when they jumped up north. We were a little upset about that. We saw the news like, fuck, because we were getting ready to jump into Baghdad. And the rumor was that somebody leaked it out. And it was like Geraldo Rivera leaked it out. It's like we were hours away from actually executing the mission. We had the chutes were in bundles right by the thing. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, everybody's got to put the chutes up. And we're like sitting around going, what's going on? Hey, we might just go back. The ground invasion's doing fine. We might just go back to Bragg. And everybody's like, we're going to be the only ones on Arghandab Street up at Bragg without CIBs because 1st and 3rd Brigade were rotating in and out of Afghanistan. Yeah. This is going to be horrible. And they already called 2nd Brigade the Parade Brigade. It's like, this is going to be the worst thing ever. But ultimately, like hours later, get on the planes, get in your mop suits. We're flying in. And that flight was crazy too because we were flying pitch black. They had all the armor on the thing, loaded up, mop suits.
What time of the year was this?
Was it March? Like end of March.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not too bad then the mop suits.
So you're in what, like Mop 2 sitting there? Everything,
yes.
Gloves on?
Gloves, no mask on. The mask was in the carrier. Yeah. with all your body armor and everything. The wrong camouflage, because that's just the Army, the way it works. You know, they'll get that 10 years down the road. We coming into land at Talil, it's funny because it's like the crew chief goes, hey, 1 minute. I was like, all right. Okay, is it? Everybody putting their helmets back on. We land. Really bumpy ride. All of a sudden the plane takes off and flies for another 10 minutes. And the guy goes, 1 minute. And I was like, then we land at Talil. I was like, did we just land in the desert and then take off again? It's like, the opportunity sergeant goes, I think we did. Then all of a sudden this Air Force guy comes running up the back of the C-130 because they just did this hard spin. It's like, hey, everybody off the plane, just go out about 200 meters. Be careful, there's mines everywhere. I'm like, it's pitch black, no moon period. Like nods, you're even trying to turn up the nods. They're trying to get, like, no, can't use white light because they're in the middle of the combat thing. It was like, we literally walked maybe 50 feet off that airplane. It was like, the was like, we're staying here. And it was like 4 a.m, so we only had to wait there a little bit until the sun started popping. And we looked around. It was like we're next to 2 bunkers that had already been blown up. Like they had aircraft in them. And I was like, there's no mines here. Nobody would mine their own damn airfield. No mines. They were starting to get ready to be trucked up to the Samoa. That's where we did most of the fighting for 2nd Brigade. We were there for like a couple of weeks fighting out with the Fahedin and some of the Republican Guards units up there.
And that was a pretty, I want to say, intense time frame at that in the very beginning there, you know. When you ended up spending what was it, 12 months, did you come back to Bragg and immediately?
The whole brigade went back to Bragg, and I was stuck there for a little. I was there for a little bit, and I re-enlisted to go to Korea. So I was just waiting for my date to PCS. Then I went to Korea for a year.
What'd you end up doing in Korea this time?
I was actually in the back in a mechanized unit, which I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to be a crew on Bradley. I was an 11 Mike beforehand. It's like, oh, no. I had a CIB and a combat patch with the 82nd. They just assumed I didn't know anything about a Bradley. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, get in this wedge formation. I know that.
How many of the guys at that time frame had deployed when you got over to the second time?
There was like one other guy that was in Korea with, yeah. It was weird. It was like, oh, you were in the war? It's like, yeah, well, none of you guys have been? Oh, that's when they had the AIP in program. We call it Avoid Iraq program. Because people would just extend to stay in Korea, not to go anywhere.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that was a non-deployable unit.
Yep. There actually used to be 2 brigades in Korea. 1 brigade and 2nd Brigade went to Iraq. Yeah. And they didn't do well. They had a lot of casualties. It's sad because you don't really train a lot in Korea. Yeah. Because it's crazy because it's great because you had a lot of downtime. But it's not only you follow American holidays, you also follow the Korean holidays. So you might have like 4-day weekends in a month. It's like, we don't work at all around here. No wonder people stay here. Yeah.
I don't know, though. I don't know that I would have wanted to extend over and over again, but...
No, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I'm not a big... I mean, I understand Bradley's a great tool. I just didn't like being a mechanized unit. Yeah. It just wasn't me. I like being a light infantry guy. Yeah, we carried a lot more stuff, but I just liked the job better than when mechanized. The Bradley's a great thing, and it's a great support fire platform, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, so you end up leaving there and going right back to Bragg.
Yep. I went to the 4th Brigade. They just stood up 4th Brigade, and it was weird because when I showed up, I'm in replacement. Of course, I already been at Bragg before. I know a bunch of guys there. Excuse me. And I I show up and it's like, hey, you're going to 2nd to 508th. I'm like, well, 508th used to be in Italy.
Yeah.
It's like, and 2nd Battalion hasn't been around since like this, I think it was the 60s or 70s. I'm not sure. But it's like, all right, cool. It's a new unit. And I stood it up. And then we have the Butt Devil, which everybody loved.
Yeah.
It's like, and I get there and it's like, all the guidons say 3325. Everybody's running 3325 flashes. And it's like, oh, those are the guys that aren't going with us. But everybody that's staying is wearing already 508s. And I was there before we did the big changeover.
Yeah.
So the colors, casing
the colors and
standing up the brigade.
You're like the OG then.
Yeah, for 4th Brigade, I love 4th Brigade was my favorite brigade to be in. It really was the bastard trials of the division because it's like, all right.
You were stood up to fight a war. That's the only reason.
That's the only brigade. The 4th Brigade actually spent more time in Afghanistan than it did at Fort Bragg before they cased the colors.
Yeah.
That's how crazy. Yeah.
So at that time frame, you were what, E6 still or E7?
I was in E6 when I showed back up. I was a weapons squad leader when I got to Bravo Company 2508.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And at that time frame, you ended up spending another rotation back over?
I did 2 rotation to Afghanistan.
In that?
Yeah. But my first summer there, we were actually up at West Point. We did a whole West Point summer cadet training up there. Immediately got back and started deploying.
Oh, wow. So what the hell did you do up at West Point?
Help train the cadets, facilitate training. I actually did it another time when I was in 158 later on in my career. So.
Yeah. I know that a lot of times they end up having their breaks and going down. They get the airborne school.
Yeah, it's usually like the juniors or seniors. But like you got to train up all the other kids. Like they have their cadre, their student cadre.
Yeah.
Like and they have their leadership positions. But they every year the Army sends 1 infantry battalion. It's usually a light infantry battalion from like 10th Mountain, 82nd, 101st that go there, and they spend like 3 months up there at West Point training cadets. It's a great summer, it really is.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. So you end up doing that, and then you guys end up deploying. Then
yeah, that deployment was a long one.
Where'd you deploy to?
We're in Ghazni province.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time period? This is 2005, 6?
No, this is 7 and 8 when we
7 and 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ghazi's east.
Yeah, it's on RC. It was RC East.
Okay, yeah, that's where I deployed to.
It was in the southern part of RC East. It was the big province.
He was part of 173rd at that time frame. So
well, that would have been 2009, 2010.
See, I was down in Arghandab in 910. That was my worst deployment.
Yeah, we were in Logar.
Yep. So the 4th Brigade, 82nd, and the 173rd were like on the same.
And then there was a 3rd Brigade, 10th Mountain that they would like flip flop.
Yeah,
there was another brigade from 101 because 82nd
was the 4th Brigade. It was always the
82nd 101. They controlled the Joint Task Force.
Yep.
If they were in country, then they were the leading of the task force. So my Purple Heart actually came from 101st because.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Because you were attached to them.
Yeah,
it was their division headquarters processed all that stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it came from the 173rd.
Yeah, I mean, it was written through the 173rd, but I mean...
Right.
Yeah, when I was awarded, it was the division commander and the division sergeant major who gave it to me.
Yeah, I mean, mine and everything. Did you guys run into a lot of IEDs and stuff?
Not in Ghazni.
Not mine, but IEDs, but yeah.
That was at the beginning of the, 07-8 in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That's when IEDs was starting to trickle in from, Iraq. There wasn't a lot, especially in the Ghazni area, because Ghazni's really wide open.
It was all dismounted conflict at range. Dismounted contact at range.
We actually did a lot more vehicle stuff in Ghazni because Ghazni's pretty much flat. I mean, it's like a big flat valley with high mountains, which we'd walk in the mountains and stuff like that. We didn't get much contact up where we were, but we were out in the middle of nowhere, like platoon cops, almost 3 months on your own.
Just feral.
Yeah, just getting really feral. And we can't shave because we don't have water because it's all frozen. So it's it got pretty nasty. We had one sat phone to call home. That was my first year. I was first year being married. We weren't even married a year yet when you're deployed. So
oh man, that must have sucked then.
Well, this is the sucky part is we're 3 months into the deployment. We had kids that went on their mid-tour leave. We got back and we were told, hey, you're going to be here for 15 months, not 12. And I had a kid up in the tower crying. He goes, what are you crying about, man? I was like, I got to stare at this fucking mountain for 12 months. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it, dude. And it was a long deployment because we had 2 winters, too. Yeah. Those winters in Afghanistan. Nobody does it. They all go to Quetta down in Pakistan, and they're not going to fight in their man jams. It's like wearing a bed sheet, and they're not going to stay around there.
So did you have to deal with the coochies coming through and all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we woke up one day and there was 1,000 sheep out in front of us. We were sitting in OP, where do these dudes come from?
Tents.
Yes.
You don't hear them either. They're quiet. They should come in the military. They're great.
Yeah.
Nice. So you end up spending 15 months there, and then you rotate back to Bragg?
Yep.
Or?
The whole battalion rotated back to Bragg.
And then this is when you go to Fort Benning?
No.
And you go back to Afghanistan. Right?
Yeah, I did. We were back for like a year, and then we went back into Afghanistan for another 12-month deployment.
Oh, man, that sucked.
Yeah. And that deployment, the 910 one, was bad. It was bad.
Because in between that, you're doing all your train up and everything.
Well,
Yep.
yeah. 910 was the bloodiest years in Afghanistan.
Yep. And I was a platoon sergeant at that time.
Yeah.
It was not a good time.
Yeah.
Like our company alone is like our whole battalion. We were first out in Helmand province with the Brits and the Marines.
Yeah.
Just our one company. And that's where we got into
That was really bad in that area.
We didn't see much because we were like, because that deployment at first, we were supposed to be doing train, coach, mentor, like the A&P.
Yep.
So we were on the highway, and we got into a couple good fights. One real good. It happened on Halloween too. It's funny because in my buddy's book, Damn the Valley, he talks about, he calls it the Halloween Massacre because it looked like we're on a range at Fort Bragg, and we just happened to be driving on this elevated highway. If you've ever been to Afghanistan, the highways usually, Highway 1 is elevated by like maybe 5 or 6 feet.
Yeah.
And the A&P was out in front of us, and I'm the rear vehicle, and platoon sergeant be back there, checking BFT, see what's going on. Just, it's a boring ride. There's nothing out there in that part of Helmand. We're driving, and my lead truck says, "Hey, I think we're getting shot at." And it's like, and all of a sudden the A&P disappear. They just take off. I was like, "What the hell?" And we just went around a bend, and there's an A&P station on top of it. And all of a sudden, my lead guy was Staff Sergeant Thomas, and he's like, "We're under fire, we're under fire." And he's like, "I don't hear anything." I'm like, "You think? No, you're not." It's like, all of a sudden, it's like, "We're under fire." And all of a sudden, an RPG goes right by our truck, goes boom. I'm like, "Oh, shit, we're under fire." I told my driver, pulled off, and they sent up spot reports. Apparently, what happened was they were trying to hit the A&P station. And that's how the Taliban used to resupply. They go over on an A&P station and get all their food and water and ammunition and weapons. And they were trying to overrun it. They didn't expect a convoy of 5 MRAPs with paratroopers in them and like one A&P truck driving around. They only saw the one A&P truck in front of us. All of a sudden, they land right in. My lead truck was like sitting on top of their assault line. And the gunner couldn't depress his 50 cal low enough because the elevated thing. So he's just pulling the butterflies, hit the ground to keep them where they are. He started shooting his 9mm until somebody passed a saw up there and started hitting them. My vehicle pulled off, and all of a sudden, as soon as the Taliban realized, oh no, they're Americans, and we're close. We're within like 25 meters of these guys. And I immediately sent up a flash report to my company commander out in Lashkar. Hey, we're in tick. And it's like nothing. I jumped out because these guys were close. I didn't want to come back and around our vehicle. Our crow systems weren't working because the sun was coming down, and it was at that perfect elevation where the crow system was just too hot, and it couldn't. It's like dismount, guys, get out. We gotta fight on foot. And it's funny because my driver, first deployment kid, this kid was the perfect soldier because he hated the Army so much. He didn't want anybody messing with him.
A great person to be.
He was an awesome
driver. The one that hates the Army the most is a platoon.
Yeah, old Private Norris. He was awesome. He was like he was mad all the time. The only time I saw him smile was like I'm starting to shoot at these the Taliban right in front of the vehicle, and I went to change a mag, and he's up there grinning areas like, "Dude, this is not fun." It's like, then I yelled at him, "Drop the ramp. I'm out here by myself." So I run to the front of the berm, like a little water estuary that was like feeding all the crops. I'm sitting on this berm firing at these guys while my other squads are forming up on another building. One of my squad leaders hear me firing down there, and he told, "Hey, give me a grenade. There's a guy down here shooting." And finally looks down, and it is me. It's like, I'm like, oh God. He told me that later on. I didn't know about that. But as soon as I saw them line up, I went back to my vehicle. I'm like, what is my PL doing? He's in the second vehicle up there. I'm not getting any radio comms with him, nothing. It was like nothing. I didn't see any report sent on the BFT. So I jumped in there. It's like, all right, back up. They got the fight. We're going to go see what the LT's doing. Why is he not with the assault element like a lieutenant's supposed to be? So I drive up there, and I'm driving around the vehicles because it's like we're a good 100 meters spread out with all our vehicles. Yeah. We had good dispersion. And especially out in Helmand. Helmand is no cover. There's like none. So we had a good dispersion. I'm driving up, and I see his Humvee, and he's handing ammo up to the Mark 19 gunner who ran out of Mark 19. So he's handing him for the 240. And I'm like, "So what are you doing?" And rounds are kicking around. I was like, "What are you doing? Did you call the commander?" "No, why aren't you with the assault group? He goes, I'll do it. I get in there, send up spot report. Now I'm looking for aircraft in the area. I got my FO. It's like, hey, get ready to talk to aircraft. I'm trying to pull these Kiowas that we saw Kiowas back then. I saw them on the BFT and like sent them a message. They sent me a message right back, said, hey, we're in troops in contact. Here's my grid. And they're like, hey, we're bingo fuel. We can't help.
Damn it.
And I was like, dude, we had these guys fixed.
Yeah.
We had them fixed. And it was like, and they weren't getting any close. And there's a PKMs laying everywhere, RPKs everywhere. They were ready to assault. And I'm watching my squad leaders. I got my medical. He's like, Doc, we're going down with the assault element. You know, went down there with them because it was my squad leaders. And we just, where I am teeing up by them, it's like, there's just bodies everywhere. And finally we get up to the squad and it's like, all right, stop. I'm doing an LOA here because we can't keep going because we're going to run out of our mutually support.
Yeah.
And there's no more Taliban around. And so it's like the ones that got away, they're on their little bikes and they're dispersed. Then we start looking around. It's like, is anybody alive? And there's a couple of them that are alive. I'm like, Doc, you got to save them. It's like, I don't want to touch them. It's like, you got to save them. We'll get more intel out of them and we can go do more of this. It's like, all right. And we're doing triage on all the Taliban. I think it was like 10 or 12 Taliban, I think. And one guy, apparently he got his hands blown off and got around through his nutsack because his testicles were laying on his stomach. So he was still alive. I mean, like, all right, we'll just tourniquet up his hands. Like, this guy, he's going to live. Then I looked at another guy and he wasn't doing well. And it was kind of creepy because if you haven't been in Afghanistan, they have these bushes with these really long thorns. Well, he had one stuck in his eye, and all I could see is the thing moving around. I'm like, oh, that's creepy. But you know, if you ever see somebody dying, you know, and he had blood everywhere. He got hit by one of the Mark 19 rounds. And it's like, yeah, he's expected. Finally, our second platoon pulls up next to us, and they're like, hey, they push down that thing. Go push down there and try to see if there's any more hiding out in the little ravines, like their irrigation systems with the water. And our company commander,
well, the waddies or whatever.
The waddies, yeah. Well, the Garez systems, Garez systems, what do they call them over there? And also our company commander pulls up, Captain Armstrong, he's right down at Benning again. He's colonel down there. And he's like, what happened? It's like, we're telling him everything. It's like, all right, we got to get back and do an AR. Well, this is Halloween. My guys have been out on these checkpoints, these AMP checkpoints, and they're making Halloween costumes the whole time out there when they're not pulling security because we're not out of 550 cord and MRE boxes. One guy made hair and coconuts. So he was going to dress up as a mermaid. It's like the Brits were having a Halloween party. And we had to transport all the bodies back with us. We had to bring them to an AMP checkpoint. That AMP checkpoint wouldn't take them, so we took them another one. They had to be,
bats hide and all that stuff.
Yeah, we had to do all that stuff. We did all that stuff and dropped all the bodies off. But we had the two guys that are still alive. We had to bring them to Lashkar Gard to the hospital. The Brits weren't ready for that. It's like the British commander at the time, it's like, we're bringing in wounded. And it's like, we're bringing in Taliban wounded. It's like, we've never had Taliban wounded. It's like, well, here's some. And then we just hand them over. And the guy ended up living. And I guess I got some good intel. And then we went we did the AARs. Our brigade commander, our battalion commander, and our battalion sergeant major came out there the next day, I think. We all went to this party, a big bonfire. With all the Brits in there. It's like, we just smoked all these dudes. It's like, this is the weirdest thing ever. It was just a weird thing. It's like my company commander, he was just like, this is just weird. We're at a party and like, hours ago, we were slaying all these Taliban out off highway, or what I forget the highway, but it was a highway going to Lash from Highway 1.
Oh my God! So it was the Brits that actually kicked off the party. It
was one.
They're the ones hosting.
They were the ones. We were attached to the British Army. We weren't attached to the Marines. We were our company was attached to the Brits, and it was like their Halloween party. It's October 31st, and like we're having this party, and we were just going to do a big gunfight. And the brigade commander or regimental commander it was like the household cavalry, the people that guard the Queen and stuff. So they were really like very British. I mean, that's about the nicest way to say it.
They eat beans for breakfast.
Oh,
so British.
I kind of like that.
You like the bean taste?
Yeah, it's not bad. You get used to it after. I work with the Brits a lot. It's like it's not
tough.
Yeah, that's not bacon. That's a piece of ham.
Yeah, it's a little Canadian bacon. It's really like that's a chunk of ham, man. That's spam.
Right. Well, that is definitely weird. So you ended up spending how long there?
We were only in Helmand for like 3 months, and then we got pushed. The whole battalion got pushed back together because we were coalition force. We were losing Kandahar at the time. Like the Taliban were pushing in there. we got sent back to FOB Walton and regrouped there as a battalion, and we were pushing our battalion into the Arghandab River Valley, which 117 Infantry out of 2nd ID were there, and they had their strikers. And they weren't pushing it into the valley. They were pretty much containing. And they actually lost a lot of dudes in there because they were doing this striker doctrine. They were losing like 9 guys at a pop because they were just putting these giant IEDs in there and just taking them out. So I forget, the commanding general for ISAF wanted a light infantry battalion to go in there, and we were just happened to be an extra light infantry battalion. Of course, our battalion commander was probably pushing for it, here and there.
Yeah.
So he wanted his battalion together. He had companies everywhere, platoons all over the place. So he brought us together, and we went into the Arghandab, and that's where those 2 books. We had 2 books written about our company alone. One about my platoon was in that deployment. So
is that right? What's the name of it?
The book was Damn the Valley. It was written by my RTO.
Okay, you mentioned Damn the Valley. Is that the guy that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Was going to come on here? Has his own? Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
That would be interesting to read that book.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to get it.
I've read it, parts of it, but it's hard to read something that you were there about.
Yeah.
So I actually was on the phone with him last night about stuff going on in his what he's doing with the book and all his podcasts and stuff.
What's the second book that was written?
It's called Bravo Company, an Afghan deployment and the aftermath. And talked about we had a lot of suicides in our company after the whole battalion did, and that deployment was bad. We lost our company lost 3 guys, but we had more wounded. There's like 50% casualties in our company. Like there's only a handful of us that didn't get a single scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. Man. There was times I was on one patrol and I ran out of smoke from calling in medevacs because we kept hitting IEDs, little toe poppers, or
with dismounted IEDs.
Dismounted with PMM mine hooked up to the
in the culverts,
choke points.
Yeah.
So then they figured out we're not in strikers, so they had to learn our TTPs, which we were, we had to change from wedge to file because we found areas where they actually had an entire, I think it was an onion field, and we found tripwire set up in wedge formation.
Yeah.
So we started coming up with our own TTPs. We basically just took a wrench and threw it out in front of the rope, started pulling it in. It was like, back up a little bit, make sure. And it's like, and we were actually finding a lot of them. We find a lot of the legacy ones over for the striker ones, really, the big ones. I remember our EOD team, it was one of the EOD teams, was an Air Force guy. He just kept pulling jugs and jugs of HME out of this thing. It's like, how much noise? Like, I think there's another 5 down here. And this thing was huge. Like, holy cow. But one thing we did do, we would put OPs up in the mountains with, thermals and everything. We were watching all those choke points, and that helped it out. But it was just IEDs. That place was laden with IEDs. That was probably the only time really in the Army. It wasn't on patrol I was nervous, but when we walked out of the FOBs and cops, that's when you're nervous. Because somebody was doing a math. I think it was my RTO. He did, because he's a real smart guy, and he goes, "Oh, it's like 2 guys will get injured on every patrol we do." You're doing the math in your head. I was like, "Oh, why did you say that?" We had guys that went, one of our guys went catatonic and just couldn't. We had to send him back to behavioral health because we were just losing guys left and right. It wasn't like we had 3 deaths in the company, but we're losing limbs. A lot of guys were losing legs. We had one guy losing an arm. I mean. It was just psychological. At one point, usually, if you're on a platoon FOB, you have between 35, if you're lucky, 30 to 35 people. At one point, my platoon was down to 21 guys. It was me, my RTO, and my PL. We're doing all the radio stuff and computer stuff. Well, everybody else was pulling guard. They sent me a cook to run the MKT. That was awesome. He was my NCOIC for the guard duty, too. It's like, you're not just cooking, you're doing this stuff. Every squad had their own little job to do, but he was just burning guys out because they came off patrol. Literally clean your weapon, do a quick AR. Hey, we got to go in the towers. Dudes are not getting any sleep.
Yeah.
Man, that whole mission there, they had to mess with a lot of people, like you said, because the whole psychological part of going outside the FOB, outside the wire, and then getting,
we were running
hit with IED.
During the day, we'd run between 3 to 4 patrols. That's not including the lock clearance patrol because we had to keep the roads open to the FOBs. That's our only resupply route. That's brought in by air. So we had to send a squad out to do a lock clearance patrol. Nighttime, we run 2 to 3 patrols at night. But there was always an overlap. We had 3 FOBs in this area that were mutually supported. So any one time, there'd be a platoon-size element in our company sector out patrolling. But we'd only patrol with a squad-size element.
Have you stayed in contact with a lot of the guys that were in that period?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Independence Fund actually had a reunion about 5 years ago, the first one, and they brought the whole company together, 90% of the company. And we have our own text message chats, our own Facebook page. It's a private one. We talk to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost have to. I mean,
90% of the time, it's like being in the Army, it's just a dick and fart jokes. But it's just something. If somebody's having a hard time, all of a sudden somebody sends like,
right.
That's the best part about having it.
Is.
Guys are having a hard time, and some people come up and hey, I'm having a hard time. Hey, I'll call you in like 20 minutes. Give me a few minutes. Or it's like, and I've had phone calls in the middle of the night. You know, hey, I'm not doing too good. Like, hey, all right, who are you talking to? Have you gone and talked to the VA? Have you gone and talked to these people? Well, the thing is with the Independence Fund, they did Operational Resiliency where it's like is peer mentorship or peer counseling with each other, like talking. Because once you get out of the Army, everybody goes to the wind. It's like you might not be like where I live now. There's nobody I can relate with about the military. Not even my dad, because he was never deployed to a combat zone.
Yeah.
There's very few people that from New England actually go in the military and actually deploy. So it's weird for me up there. It's like none of you guys understand some of the stuff that the guys go through. It's like, oh, thank you for your service. That's nice. Thank you.
No, but it's great that you guys have that kind of network and everything. Like you're saying, it just becomes a common bond that you all share that no one else is going to understand of what you went through, you know, as a group and as a team, and felt that and everything. But I think you're going through what I hear some guys go through within Utah and out west or Midwest areas and stuff where they want to get off the grid, but the problem with that is that they're disconnecting. And that disconnection actually starts causing additional problems or challenges.
And I don't think social media, it helps a little bit, but also I think they see everybody else having a good time. Oh, they see their old units training. Everybody probably has their old units, just legacy stuff on their Instagram or Facebook.
Right.
And they see it's like, oh, they're coming back from JRTC. I'm glad I didn't go to JRTC with them, but I remember when we came back or whatever, something like that. They see all this stuff happening, and they do miss it. You're going to miss it. I've only been literally out of the Army like 6 weeks now, so.
Yeah. No, you're going to still continue to feel, I'm sure, that part of it, because, like you've already started, as you just mentioned, feeling some of it just up in Massachusetts, but it's going to get more and more because of the disconnect, you know, not having that. So you coming down to like Fort Benning, going to Bragg, doing that on occasion is really going to be good for you.
Oh, that's why she's my wife who's sitting back over there. And she's like, you're like a kid in the candy store. I was like, yeah, I mean, I like Fort Benning a lot. I mean, I love being a Sergeant Airborne. I mean, it was horrible times of working there, but it was very rewarding. Some of my closest friends in the Army worked there with us because we were very close. The instructors there are such a small group of people. And coming down here as it is, I was like, this is awesome. I get to be around soldiers again. I get to hear soldier stuff.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
100%. So when you came back from that deployment, what ended up happening then?
Well, that deployment is funny because HRC was really getting upset with the 82nd because the 82nd always has the rapid deployment stuff, and they were always gone. So nobody PCS for like 8 years out of there.
Well, yeah, they were like third ID. They were fencing dudes.
Yep, but we fenced in like those guys that are like in that same company for like 8 years.
Yeah, like you go to brigade formation, like who has orders? All right, put your hand down. None of you have orders.
They just delete them because we were always on the pet chart. And it's like all of a sudden the deployment would pop up, and that's the beauty about Fort Bragg. It's designed to push battalions out. And they have the whole thing over in Green Ramp where you can push a battalion out, and I mean they say 18 hours less, but I mean we've tried it. I mean you can't, but you're just rushing. But it's the perfect place. That's why like anytime there's a surge, it was always like, oh, we're taking 2 battalions from this brigade, a battalion from that brigade, and they get sent off. So a lot of those guys are just fenced in. They called it the takeout roster. It's like HRC, nobody's getting on it. It's a takeout roster. Anybody with 5 years in the division, I'm like, I'm right at that cusp. So my first sergeant calls over to my platoon cop. It's like, hey, we don't know who's on the list, but call HRC. I'm like, all right. I get on the sat phone. It's like 2 in the morning because that's what you have to do. Excuse me. And I call HRC and it's like, hey, yep, I'm calling from Afghanistan. Please don't hang up, please. It's like, I'm on a sat phone. If I lose you, I'm going to call you right back. And it's like, okay, very nice lady, which that's probably the only time I ever talked to a nice lady at HRC.
You found the one?
Found the one. She was very polite. And she goes, oh yeah, you're on this list. It's like, do I have options at this point? She goes, well, these are the options. And it's like, one was going back to Korea, one like PLD instructor in Korea, PLD instructor in Germany. I'm like, oh, none of these sound good. And she's running through this whole thing. Then she gets Fort Benning. Like, is there assignment? No, it just says Fort Benning. You're 11 series, so it just says Fort Benning. It's like, there was a couple other posts, and I was like, hold on, can I call you back in 5 minutes? I got to call my wife, which I've only been married probably less than 18 months at this point. It's like, hey, we're going to be moving when we get back to Bragg. She's like, okay, no, it's actually, we were married about 4 years this time. We have a brand new baby. So it's like, all right. And she goes, okay, these are the places that are options. And she goes, she didn't want to go overseas at the time. She's still a young wife. She was like, what's this Fort Benning place? And it's like, well, we do this stuff here. And it's like, all right, we'll do that. I'm like, all right, I call it, hey, we'll take Benning. Okay, thank you. And orders came down. But I got lucky. I actually got to go to BNOC before PCS.
Basic non-commissioned.
No, ANOC is ANOC.
Oh, advanced.
Yeah.
Well, at that time frame,
It was actually Bangkok at the time.
Yeah.
Maneuver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that what the hell
It
they
was. It was maneuver.
No, they did.
Yeah, the maneuver center, armor. Yeah, that's when they combined armor and infantry. It was like the first couple months. It was hilarious. When they told us, like, is this really what you're calling it?
Yeah, then they changed it to SLC.
Yeah, they didn't have that for long, but it's called maneuver center. But
They had BNOC, ANOC, and then
I mean, somebody must have done that as a joke, and
I think
it rode for a while.
Yeah, it wasn't around for long.
someone came up with it. No one wanted to tell the person that outranked them.
Because they probably spelt it all the way.
Yeah, great name, sir.
It's going to look great on your OER.
Yeah. Stood up man cock. What?
He's probably a general now.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But and I went down there, so I was like, I'm going to go talk to people. So I said, when I wasn't in the course, which the course was easy. I was already a platoon sergeant for like 2 years already, so I already knew everything they were talking about. I mean, the only thing I really learned was really how to do a DA6 in the course. Like, oh, wow, this is interesting. I'm actually going to use this.
Right.
This is great. Nobody can bitch about it.
Right.
That's the only thing I took from that course, and I used it ever since.
Nice.
But I got to go look around. It's like, I don't want to be a drill sergeant. That's for one thing, which that wasn't another thing. But I did not want to get stuck in IBOLIC, which for a lot
Like
of
a grenade range or something like
yeah,
that.
some of those deadly stuff. So I went down and talked to Sergeant Major Carrington, who was in charge of the 199th, which was the 507th. Used to be a part of the 199th. So this was right before they went over to RTV. Went down, talked to him, and was like, hey, I'm coming here in April. I want to go to the 507. Of course, I'm coming from Bragg. You know, an 82nd guy. He was an 82nd guy. Oh, let me just go check the games. Hey, you're already on the games roster for this. I'm like, thank God. Because I didn't want to get stuck on some deadbeat job like the Claymore mine range for teaching privates and stuff. So I
was 29th Infantry still there?
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay.
They're part of, one's in like armor, one's in infantry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wait, what was the 199th?
That's right now, it's the schoolhouse for like, all your officer courses like IBOLIC, ABOLIC.
That used to be 11th Infantry, I think.
Still 11th Infantry, but it falls under the 199th.
Man, I'm not.
Yeah. Like the battalions within the 199.
Yeah, I was in 11th Infantry at one point. So
it's all one another. They put out like, I think it was like 15 years ago, they put everything under brigade structure in the Army. Even over
okay.
So they put like it's 198th over in Sand Hill now, but all the battalions just follow.
Okay.
111
I'm with you now.
111, 211 is still part of, but then one runs IBOLIC, one runs ABOLIC, and then you got the Captain Career Course over there, the Maneuver Captain Career Course.
Yeah.
Then you got where all the new officers go through, the OCS.
OCS, yeah.
So it's all like your officer schooling over there.
Right.
Which is funny because the 507th was in there for a while. It's like, why are we a part of this organization?
Yeah.
It's weird. But that's how I get to the 507th. I just happened to go and talk to him.
Was it a cool job?
At first, no. It was a lot of studying and what we call talking to trees over there.
Yeah.
If you ever drive by there and you see like an instructor or somebody just walking around talking to himself, he's trying to learn that class verbatim, like the class I got to teach. And that's a long, like I had Airborne 5000. It was like 8 pages of crap I had to memorize.
Mm-hmm.
And you get graded every time you sing it to a student. So it's like you had to know it and you had to know everything your demonstration guys had to do. Then you had to learn all the apparatuses and all the stuff like that. So
yeah.
At first, when you're trying to do that, and
it wasn't just pre-jump at that point. Then.
No, pre-jump was something that you did later on. That was part of all the stuff you had to memorize. But it was great. I got to go to the company, and even you get your hat when you're in company. Your first sergeant major pretty much meant you into that way. And I got there, and it wasn't a bad job. I mean, you got Groundhog's Day. There was times you get mad at students like on day one, like, how do you not know how to do this? And not realizing, oh, this is the first time ever touching this stuff. You got to relax, slow down. It's like, but it's like the only job on Fort Benning, you get the weekends off.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like nice to see my drill sergeant buddies.
Because there's junior NCOs who go, you're on fire going now. I'm going home.
Yeah. Well, and then you had people that were had rank that's in the class. So you got your student platoon sergeants and everything else that can take care of the barracks.
Set up the guard roster. I'll see you Monday.
It's usually staff sergeant below would stay in the barracks, which is great, especially when you had the Marines there. They would love being in charge of everything. Hey, I want fire guard rosters. I want this clean, everything. And on the weekends, we left them alone. We didn't go. We had to do accountability checks. That's about it. So, like in the wintertime, it was one NCO. Summertime, you have a couple more because you have to have ice sheets and stuff up there so the kids don't die because it's Fort Benning and it's hot.
Yeah.
So it was a rewarding job. That's the most time in my whole career I was actually CONUS. It was those 3 years I was a instructor.
How long do you get a break in between cycles? Like a week?
It's 1 week. It's a refit week, really.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not, because a lot of times if you're Jumpmaster qualified, you have to go support the other companies trying to push them. If such bad weather comes in, now you need all hands on deck, every Jumpmaster, because now you're just crunching in time. Sometimes if it overs a week, then you won't have a refit week.
How many people were at that time frame in a company? Because the war is going.
Students?
Yeah.
Students. Oh, it varied. It's like sometimes we'd have a class of 500, but sometimes a bunch up to 600, 700 students.
Yeah. So they were still pretty well ranked.
Well, back then they still had the walk-on program. Yeah. They don't do that anymore. Like people that were coming out of waiting on a school, or they got out of whatever, they could walk onto the course. And that was up to the battalion sergeant major if you wanted to let them in. So
now they don't do that.
No, I don't think they do that anymore. I mean, I think you have to be actually hard orders going to an airborne assignment.
But you still had, like, during the summers, you still had ROTC.
Cadet season? Yeah, cadet season. Yeah. And you had to be careful cadet season. You got kids come from all over the country, like kids from Minnesota, also down in Fort Benning in the summertime. It's like, all right, keep an eye on you, buddy. It's like, I'm not doing so well. Yeah, it's hot. Huh?
Yeah. So that was a good assignment for you then.
I enjoyed it because I did 2 years in the...
You probably needed the decompression, to be honest with you.
Yeah, at first I didn't. I thought I was like, I just want to get back. I wanted to stay in 4th grade, but I couldn't. So I got to there, and it was a great assignment. Afterwards, I was 2 years in the basic airborne course, what we call the BAC. I was a platoon sergeant there. Then I became a master trainer, which each bunch of the tower, ground tower and jump, they have these master trainers that learn all the POI, and the ones that actually train all the black hats, and the ones that actually grade all the black hats when they give the class to the students. There's a black hat over there. Yeah, he's with the little red pen. Oh, you missed the in this paragraph. Yeah, you didn't get a failure on or needs improvement. You got a success, but it was an excellent class and your demo messed up here. I mean, that PI, that primary instructor, is responsible for all that, so training, all that stuff. Yeah. So it's very demanding on those instructors. ABIC hates airborne school because they don't teach like the whole lectern and all that stuff. Everything's verbatim. It's like, and I had to explain to those guys, listen, the reason why it's like that, everybody gets the same block of instruction. Those 500 students, they're all getting the same instruction on parachute landing falls, recovery from equipment, movement inside the aircraft, all these different things. But when they go down to the individual sticks, that sergeant airborne is going to break it down in layman's terms and actually teach them how to do each one of those things they don't do. So it's like, because all that makes sense, but that's the way we want you to start with that. So it's like, no, there's too many things that can go wrong in airborne. All those apparatus could hurt somebody down there, and a lot of people get injured in airborne school because it's not a hard school. Physically, it's probably the easiest course in the Army, and it's a DOD, so it's like you got all the services coming to that, so it's like the easiest course.
I got jacked up there.
Yeah, I mean it's not hard, but the thing is, you're throwing your body on the ground for like 2 weeks straight, and you're sore.
Yeah, ground week sucks.
Yeah, it's like I had gunny sergeants that were like 20 years in the Marine Corps. It's like, man, I'm sore. It's like you're just throwing your big ass on the ground all day long. Yeah. And it's like just learning how to land. It's like, and teaching people to put their feet and knees together and into something. Like I see a lot of podcasts where it's like, why is airborne school so long? Why is it so long? It's like, it is not a school to teach you exiting aircraft. It's teaching you how to land. And you're breaking a habit. In the Department of Defense, you have to get 13 hours of parachute landing fall training. That training is like when you're standing in a line. You're training that out of your head. And to get every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, 13 hours of it, it takes that long. Yeah. And it's not so much exiting. And I mean, that's the easy stuff. It's the landing part. Because I've seen students even after 2 weeks down there in jump week, and it was like, hey, feet and knees together. There's a reason why there's coaches out there. They're reiterating it.
Feet and knees together, airborne.
Yeah, that job, that sucks. That's the only time you ever get a sunburn on the bottom of your neck.
In the DZ.
It's a horrible job. That's where you usually put the brand new instructors. Yeah. It's not fun, especially in the summertime. Winter's just as bad.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because on my 5th jump at Airborne School, there was 2 drill sergeants that were there, and they obviously coasted through the course or whatever, but one of them reached for the ground with his right leg.
Yep.
Tib fib came out of him. He had a Chinese spare rib hanging out.
I was trying to tell students, listen, it's ever get off a bunk bed. You naturally, you put your feet apart. Well, now you got to get that out of that mindset. Put your feet in each other because the trunk of your body's absorbing the weight, not just your fibia. You're not your lower part of your body. You need.
So is it
burst
true
the
if
energy.
you exit the bird on your 5th jump, no matter what?
Yeah, you're gonna get your wings.
You're gonna get your wings.
Yeah.
I always wondered that if that dude actually.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to actually hit the ground.
Well, he hit the ground.
Yeah, you're gonna hit the ground.
I know.
Maybe the gravity is gravity takes over.
Correctly. I'm talking about correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know you're gonna get it. I mean, you weren't dead, so
Yeah.
so.
You exited the aircraft for the 5th time that week.
I mean, during jump week, it's hard to get kicked out of the course. Only way you get kicked out of the course in jumping if you're late to formation.
Yeah.
There's no time because especially in the airborne timeline, it's down there.
At that time frame, were you still doing the battalion runs on Fridays?
Yeah, we do them. It was actually now I gotta think. It was like Tuesdays and Thursday were the run days.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
It was only Fridays when I went through.
Yeah,
As long as you made that, you could go off to sick call any other day.
Yeah,
If you did it on a Friday.
Well, they don't have a PT test over there anymore, that blows my mind.
What?
Yeah, there's no PT test.
There's no 41 club anymore?
No, there's no such thing as 41 club. Those people just couldn't do fucking 41 push-ups. No, they don't do it over there. I was just talking to one of the guys that writes all the POI over there, and they're trying to bring something back, like an airborne physical fitness assessment along those lines. But they do the flexed arm hang. Basically, they have to hold their body above the bar, and it represents if they can pull a 2-riser slip with a T11 parachute. Because pulling a T11 parachute at like 100 feet, that's a lot.
It's a smoker.
It is. I mean, if you're in ship, it's not. But it's like, kids will stop.
If you're not used to doing it,
But kids will stop
19-year-old
letting up,
kid.
and what that would do, it actually makes them go faster into the ground. It
Yeah.
picks up their rate of speed, and that's where people start getting injured. So that's like the only thing. Right back when I was there, we actually had a PT test, and just regular Army PT.
Yeah.
It was always the minimum. It's not hard.
It's like a lap and a half around the tower field or something.
It's 2 laps.
2 laps.
Two
around the tower
laps. Which
field.
that's not a bad place to run.
No,
That's,
no.
That track is awesome to run on. But the push-ups and sit-ups, kids out of OSIT, and they didn't really have a problem because they're getting smoked over there.
Yeah.
The kids, people come from other assignments, like nothing is mostly the enablers, like your enablers coming in, like whatever unit they're coming in, is like, they always be worried about it. It's like, and we give them a demonstration in processing day what we're looking for, and just nothing crazy. It's just Army standard push-up. Don't be doing the head bob and all that stuff. All you lieutenants, we're not doing the head bob and lieutenant fucking push-ups. I mean, and the instructors, there's a master trainer that's walking up and down watching the PT test. He's not looking at the students. He's watching the instructors to see if there's fair. Because you got 2 sides of that. You got the guy who's going to count everything. Okay, you're moving. Yeah, click, 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 click. Hurry up, it's cold. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Or you got Ranger Rick over there. Your chest has to bounce off the ground. It's like, no, stop that. I always felt bad for the kids that just graduated Ranger school and they went right into Airborne school. It's like,
dying.
Oh, I remember, and those are the ones you see that are really nervous. I always felt bad for them. Those are those ones that if I was grading, be like, I already wrote on that, hey, 42. Hey, just keep going. Just keep trying. And then down there just, and if you know, back then when you sat on the milk crate, if the instructor gives you back your card, that means you got to walk out. That means you just failed the test. But I put it back in the thing, and he's like, you just saw it was like, he knew he did not pass those push-ups because the poor guy was just weak. He's like, who sent you to Airborne school right after Ranger school? It's like, that could be a safety violation because you're falling asleep all the time. Those guys that actually go from Ranger school right into Airborne school, those guys, their uniforms look like shit. But I give it to them. There's like, once they graduate, it's like, oh, that's so hard. It's like, it's not. It's just you're that weak right now.
So did you, while you were there, were you kind of scouting out the rest of the assignments there, like were ARTB or anything like that? Or did you decide, all right, I need to get out of the trade environment?
Well, that was funny. It's like I was there for 3 years. My last year I was a master trainer. All my buddies like showed up at the same time. They didn't get an order every time. I was like, hell am I not getting orders? Because you don't want to stay in trade off too long because you get stagnant there. Then you become, that just will hurt your career more than help it. So I actually called Branch. Like, oh yeah, you weren't even popping up on our radar. I was like, well, why not? I've been here for 3 years. You do. And it's like, oh yeah. And it's like the guy wasn't helping me. So I'm like, I'm going to call the master sergeant that works with me. Called the master sergeant. I don't know this guy from anywhere. Well, I called the thing, and it actually becomes a sergeant major that was there. He says, what? And it's like, oh, yeah. It's like, I want to get an assignment. Oh, what do you, I've been down here 3 years in the 507. He's like, he goes, well, I only have right now is the 82nd that's open.
Been there.
I'll take it. He goes, you really want to go to the 82nd? Like, I've been there before. So that's how I ended up back in the 82nd. I liked the job I was doing. It was a good job, but you can't stay in trade op too long. You're just going to be stagnant. And those are the guys that retire as an E7. Like, that, nothing wrong with them. It's just they found a home where they're at. And it's just.
What was your time in grade at that time?
I was Sergeant First Class.
Yeah, but how many years?
4 years.
Oh, so you were like on the cusp, or you should be looking at first sergeant.
Yes, and that's why I was like, I need to,
or E8.
Yeah, I need to get out of here. And that's when I got assigned to 3rd Brigade, 82nd, and 1st Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry.
Okay. Yeah. Did you go in as a platoon sergeant? Or
yeah, they stuck me back in a platoon sergeant position.
Okay.
Which I didn't mind. I was like, okay, I'm actually with soldiers, because HRC looks at being with actually in a force comm unit with soldiers. That's what they really want to see.
Yeah.
To help grow.
It's the coolest job in the Army too.
Yeah. Being a platoon sergeant, I loved it.
Yeah.
I actually liked being a first sergeant.
Yeah.
But we deployed again to Iraq in 15. We were doing that surge back in when they were fighting ISIS, and we were coaching them. And that's when I became a first sergeant, because first sergeant we had, he was a good guy. I mean, I've known him before, and he was a really good guy. He was just going through a divorce. His headspace and time and was not there for the deployment. So he ended up getting moved out, and then Sergeant Major Severino walked in and goes, we're at Union 3 guarding the CJ Flick I headquarters. So there's generals all over this. There's more generals than there are privates on this base. And he goes, hey, the company's yours, don't fuck it up. Like, all right, let's run with this. And so I ran with it, and I had the company for almost 3 years.
So you guys lost, were you the unit then that lost a couple guys to IED there as well during that training of the...
That was in 2015.
Yeah.
And we didn't lose anybody in that deployment.
Somebody did around that time frame. It was, actually, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2015. It was more like 18, something like that.
In Afghanistan?
17.
Yeah, I think that might have been the withdrawal in Afghanistan.
Well, I was in...
Not the withdrawal, but it was before that.
Oh, yeah, that deployment right beforehand. That was 3rd Brigade, 82nd. Again, I was there for that. I was the first sergeant in 1508. Yeah, I've been deployed a lot. Most of my career deployed.
But you guys did lose a couple guys.
Yeah, our engineers lost a couple guys over there. And our my sister battalion, 1505, my old battalion, they actually lost a couple guys over in Green on Blue incident.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, and when I was in SFAB, we lost a sergeant major over there in Green on Blue incident the year before.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. I've been, like I said, I've been deployed a lot. Like that 15 deployment when I became a first sergeant in 1505, I was there for 3 years. Didn't get promoted to E8 as a sitting first sergeant. My sergeant major, who later became the division sergeant major for the 82nd, was like, I don't know why you're not getting promoted. It just wasn't there. So then when I was leaving, I was in the 505 for like 4 years. Then I was like, okay, I got to find an assignment where I can get promoted. So I called HRC again. It's like, hey, you can be an OC and you can pick which one. It's like, I'll go to Germany.
Nice.
Because in my headspace and time, it's like, I'm at like 18, 19 years, like, well, I'm probably not going to get promoted. I'm probably going to retire as an E7. That's what the Army put forward. And it's like, all right, hell with it. I'm going to go to Germany and do OC there. OCs don't work all the time. I'm going to go take my family to Europe and travel.
Why not?
Yeah, it's like, I've done enough. And, we were like something like 60 days out from going to Germany. And I was still sitting first sergeant. They hadn't replaced me yet. I still had my BlackBerry, and that's dating myself there. I had BlackBerry. And we're going to EFMP appointment to clear BFMP, get her cleared and my oldest son cleared. And she was pregnant too. So, and I'm looking at the emails, and our reenlistment guy sends the retention, the gains and loss report. Like, all right. I'm looking on the loss report. It's like, my name's not on it. It's like, I'm 60 days out or 90 days out, something like that. I'm like, I don't get why I'm not on. So I call him, hey, I'm not on this point. He goes, oh, hold on. I'll look it up. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. He calls back. He's like, I don't see you on anything. I'm like, I've been on this loss roster for like 10 months already. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, okay, I'll deal with this after this meeting. We go into this EFMP thing. It was like 3 hours up there. We're driving off post up at Bragg. All of a sudden, bling, bling. It's not getting emails because we're not in the hospital. I'm like, oh, HRC, okay. Congratulations, you're the first of 26 NCOs selected to SFAB. Like, I didn't put my name in the hat.
Oh, so that's how you got it.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was selected. That was the easiest selection I ever went through.
Wow, so that's not Christmas morning. So
No.
at that time frame, because SFAB, that was in the beginning then too. right?
Yeah, it was the very beginning. Well, the thing is, I called HRC and I talked to the same sergeant major I talked before about the assignments. Like, hey, the same sergeant, might have been a master sergeant at times. Like, hey, you told me I needed another assignment other than Bragg and Benning. Why am I going back to Benning? And he goes, that's above me. The Army, this came from all the way up top. Like, and apparently a bunch of sergeant majors later on told us, so like, everybody that was that first group that was there, that was selected like at like big Army level, like 4-star, 5-star. Of the chief of staff in the Army was like selecting all, went through everybody's records. And I think they went through everybody that was PCS in first.
Yeah.
Like, well, who's
Sure. Yeah. Who's coming
Makes
up on
sense.
it?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we'll just change their order. It's way easier. They're already getting headspace and timing in their head.
The fact that they didn't tell you, though, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I guess we're going to Benning. She wasn't upset because she was getting nervous about traveling overseas.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And she was pregnant. So it's like, all right, we're going back to Benning.
So you ended up then at that time frame, Sean Jarvis. So
Yep. He was, I think he was in the recon battalion.
Yeah.
I was in the infantry battalion. I was in 1-1 SFAB.
okay,
Yeah. And they made me an ops NCO in the 3-shot. I was not happy.
but you were in an E8 slot,
No, I was an E7 slot. I was still in
Oh,
E7.
no.
I was like,
so they didn't even put you as the ops sergeant as the E8 slot then.
no, it was an E7 slot.
So how many guys were like you, where they had been working above their?
I was the only one showing up.
Okay.
That was in a first sergeant position.
Okay.
And I was like, I did not. Well, the thing is, it's not like a full battalion.
Yeah.
Just 4 people in the 3-shop: the sergeant major, the major, a captain, and me.
So you're the Joe.
Yeah. And
Where's all the because there's no E4s or anything.
no, there's no Joes. It's our battalion commander. His motto is everybody fills sandbags here. It's like, who's mowing the lawns? It's like, just me and the sergeant major mowing the lawns out there. That's just the way it was. But when you have these officers, there's like, oh, the 3-shop, you got to get faster on this stuff. It's like, you got to get this done. It's like, it's not like a 3-shop in a regular battalion where there's maybe 30 people in there and get all these
Right.
lieutenants just, you can nug out a lot of work. It's just, and of course the major's not thinking that either. Just get this done, get this done. He's divvying it out to me and the captain. And we're like, we're nugging away. And we had to go to all the training, the schools, of standing up the SFAB stuff. And it was like, it was very, very, it was horrible. Standing up a unit and deploying it within like 6 months was like the worst.
Did you listen to the episode where we finally had Sean talk about that whole thing?
Oh, it was funny because when I walked into SFAB, I think they just opened the doors that day.
Yeah.
There was no human beings on it. It was a ghost town up on.
Was that where 197th was?
No, you're at Kelly Hill.
There's Kelly Hill.
Yeah.
The 3rd Brigade, 3rd ID used to be the Bulldog Brigade.
Right.
Was up there.
What was 197 before 3rd ID?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
You're dating yourself. But.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
But it was also, I was there at 3rd ID too.
Yeah. And walk in there and I couldn't find anybody to sign in. There's no staff duty desk. All the doors open. There's papers blowing through the battalion, the brigade headquarters. I'm like, what the hell is it? And finally, I'm walking around. And actually, another guy showed up, and a guy that came from Bragg with me. We're in the same battalion. Old Master Sergeant Jensen. I'm like, where the hell is? And also, we're upstairs. And if you ever been in the brigade headquarters up in Kelly Hill,
Yeah.
it's a long hall. It's stupid long. All of a sudden, hello. All of a sudden, some lady sticks her head in. Oh, why? It's like, I'm the S1 for the brigade. It's like, perfect. That's who we need to sign into. Oh, you're both going to 1-1. We walk over. There's like 4 people over in the battalion. It's like, oh, this is it right now. It's like,
Wow.
your operations, you're the agency first.
Was the sledgehammer emblem still on the floor?
Everything was still there. Probably still over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a crazy time frame.
Well,
Because
it was crazy
you
because,
didn't know what to do, or really, I mean, like,
yeah, it's like kind of like Ricky Bobby. What do we do with our hands? So like the first couple of weeks there, it's like they started training all the classes over at the motto, like learning how to be an advisor. So a lot of guys were doing that. But they expected us to come right after work and like, hey, we got to do stuff at Thursday. Like, what can we do? We don't have weapons. We didn't have UICs yet. It's like, so we couldn't do anything. So it's like, we actually fell into 3rd ID. So we were a 3rd ID patch for like a month. And I was not happy doing that. I was like, what the hell?
did you end up, like, at the end of that, looking back on it as, hey, this was a great opportunity?
It was a great opportunity. It was funny, but just looking back now, it was hilarious. But not when you're standing up a unit because we wore the 3rd ID patch for a while. Then they came out with this new patch that we wore for like a month. All of a sudden, SF guys were getting their panties in a twist, and we stopped doing that. And we had no patch, which was even worse driving around Fort Benning. You know, it's a TRADOC school. Where's your patch? Where's your patch? Like,
just sergeant majors walking around looking for people messed up.
yeah. And so it's like, God, it's like most guys would just change and drive home. But I lived on post, like, I'm not changing. I'm just going to drive home. And when we first stood it up, it's kind of funny because all the deer got so used to nobody being there. Just the deer were walking through. I remember I was the first person on staff duty in SFAB, me and this captain. And we had no phones. It's like, how do I call? Hey, Sergeant Major, can I get your cell phone number? And just, it's like, we have no phones here. You know, it's like, oh, yeah. And I'm walking around. Somebody left their door open inside one of the battalion headquarters, like the back door. And all the deer were inside the classrooms walking around. I'm like,
that's fantastic.
I'm just going to open all the doors up in this thing so we get out. It is funny because all the hogs over in Benning, they're just running around the PT area. So it's like, see people running. It's like, there's hogs down there. Don't go down. It's like the wildlife took over.
Yeah.
Wow. What did you end up doing after SFAB?
Went back to Bragg.
And so that's where you ended up finishing your career after that point.
Yep. At that point, I mean, when I was in the SFAB, I got promoted to E8.
Yeah.
And actually, since I was a first sergeant before, I actually had my mic identifier. So they actually made me a first sergeant in SFAB.
Did you go to the school too, or while you were at Benning, or?
Yeah, I went to the Master Leader course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
since I already had the mic identifier, they let me be a first sergeant for like, I think it was like 8-9 months before I PCS.
Oh, so you had rated time too?
Yep, rated time as Charlie Company 1-1 SFAB's first sergeant for a little bit. And then apparently I was the only one they allowed to do because I had the identifier because I was the first sergeant in the division. So I went back to Bragg, back to 3rd Brigade, and that's when I wound up in 1508. I had, all total as a first sergeant, I had 5 companies, two line companies.
What was your total time in service then?
28.
28?
Mm-hmm.
And you retired as a first sergeant?
Yep, I retired as an E8.
Oh my gosh, man. That is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And most of it, if I'm looking back on it, you spent 3 years. I'm trying to do the math here. How much time total did you end up spending in Bragg? 21
total.
But when you were at Bragg, how much of that time was deployed?
Oh, I've never done that math, but it's quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like I have 95 months deployed time.
Ask your wife. She probably knows.
Well, I deployed a lot before we got married.
95
total months deployed.
Okay, so 96 divided by 12 is 9.
8 years.
No, it's 8 years, sorry.
Yeah. I had 66 months in combat zone, but I had other deployments like Bosnia and Kosovo. We even dreed out to Poland. That was like my last one where like the whole thing in Yugoslavia was not Yugoslavia, but Ukraine.
Kind of working with the UN at that time?
Yeah, we went right to the border.
Yeah.
We stayed at old Luftwaffe airfields and froze our asses off in the mud for 5 or 6 months. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I deployed 2 more times to Afghanistan. Like after I left SFAB, went right back to 3rd Brigade and went back to Afghanistan. It was the last real brigade, full brigade in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I was the first sergeant there for that.
So what was it like going over that last time? Was it just like business as usual?
It was a lot slower, wasn't it?
Not for us, because our battalion was the TURF, the Theater Response Force. So we always had platoons on standby to like go anywhere. Like if there's troops in contact, like an ODA out there doing stuff, or down drone. Because a lot of times, like the secret squirrel drones would go down. They need somebody to go secure the site or whatever. So we always had a platoon doing that, but we also had platoons out pulling security for SF teams out on their FOBs too. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you guys were just primarily training.
Our battalion wasn't doing that. Other battalions were in our brigade were. Our battalion was the TURF. We belonged to the commanding general of all of Afghanistan. He's our one that deployed us.
Wow.
Which we had our own little compound down in CAF. It was nice.
So was everybody else that went from the brigade, they were doing like Guardian Angel stuff? And
yeah, our second battalion was, second in the 505 was doing Guardian Angel stuff. The other, not Guardian Angels, they were doing Uplift for SF.
Uplift, okay.
Yeah. The other battalion, they were doing other stuff. They were pulling security for like people that do fly to advise. That's an SFAB term. They would fly out on advisors and they pull security for those.
How long from the last time that you were there to the time where they started getting out of there? What was that? The way that spanned? Since you were almost on an every other year rotation.
Yeah, pretty much. When I got back, we got back in like, I can't even remember what month it was, but I got back. I was the HAC first sergeant when I got back for 1508.
That was probably a better assignment then.
Yeah, but I was there for
relax.
No, HACs? Are you crazy? That's in an infantry battalion? No.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's not so much as scouts, the medics, and the mortars. Those are the fun platoons. It's those other platoons, the other sections that you have to keep in.
Your S1 supply, yeah.
That's not even the worst of it. I was there for like almost a year. Then all of a sudden, hey, you're going to be the HAC brigade first sergeant.
Oh, they really loved you.
Yes. Yeah. So that's when we did the whole Poland thing. But that's when HKIA happened when I was the HAC brigade first sergeant. Okay. I just had knee surgery too. So like, it was like, oh God, are we going? I don't know if my knee's going to hold up. So.
Oh my God! Did you ever get any mustard or anything?
No, I didn't get a combat jump all 21 years on the 82nd.
Damn! No. Out of all those opportunities,
We didn't have many opportunities. There's that one time in 03.
Oh, three, yeah, the initial surge.
Scoundrels from the 173rd stole it.
They didn't really steal it. You know, it's hard to jump in a secure drop zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's
75th did as well, right?
Yeah, they did a couple jumps.
Yeah.
That's another thing that drives me nuts. Like, airborne's irrelevant. It's like, you know what's more relevant? How about, it's going to piss a lot of people off, but the Marine Corps. When's the last time they did an amphibious assault?
Yeah.
Oh, we've done more airborne assaults than amphibious assaults. That's right. We had Grenada, I think, was the last real big one they did.
No, I think you're right. No, they did go into
they were in Panama, but they were already there.
Panama. Yeah.
No. After that,
the Gulf War, they did a show of force.
No, in '95 when we went to
Somalia.
Somalia, they did do one there.
Yeah.
It was a more made for TV type of thing.
Yeah,
it was Spielberg.
But still, we've done more airborne operations.
Yeah. No, totally.
Oh, I'm with you. We had this conversation on the podcast.
I saw that conversation.
I was like, what the?
Everybody says airborne's irrelevant. Airborne units are not irrelevant. It's the capabilities that you still need.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually the most capable units because they can do all the other jobs that a light infantry unit can do.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about how air assault is going to be much more important than airborne.
Haven't they been saying that for like 30 years?
Yeah, I know we did the whole show on.
I mean, I did both courses. They both have their jobs. It's like everybody had, like the Marine Corps has their job, amphibious assault. You still need divisions to jump into places. It's just the threat of their existence that scares a lot of people.
Yeah. We do it better than anybody else in the world.
And
why would we not do it?
We have a whole post up at Fort Bragg that's designed to push brigades out and battalions out.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean we have to go do an airborne assault. You can go do other things. We might do an air assault because we remember what the ISP is. That's where you're going to do it.
So what building, latrine, something that has your name on it? Because after spending that much time in Fort Bragg, they did name something after you, right?
No, there's nothing named after me.
Here's my petition. We need to rename them.
I'm telling you, I mean, like all the other buildings have a name on it from different soldiers. Why not you? I mean, is there anybody else that spent more than 21 years on Fort
there's
Bragg?
actually quite a few guys that spend a lot of time up. It's like I said before, it's one of those places where once you have certain identifiers, you're going to come back. Because if you're a 5 whiskey, which is Jumpmaster, it's like, okay, we need Jumpmasters.
Yeah.
Got to remember, there's 9 infantry battalions in the 82nd.
Yeah.
There's 3 artillery battalions. They need all those capabilities. They need Fox 7s. They need Pathfinders up there to do stuff. So it's like, there's very few people in the Army that actually have these qualifications that are outside the 82nd. Like special operations have those, but what conventional forces?
If you're listening or watching this show and you're stationed at Fort Bragg, you've got to make sure if you have the ability, I don't care if it's a damn latrine stall, I don't care what it is, Matt's name has to be on it. Forever. 21 years.
With a building number and everything.
I'm telling you. I mean, it needs to be on the map, too, by the way.
They'd probably, being known in the Army, I'd probably go to 1st Brigade, the only brigade I was never.
But about that time
Stall
frame,
1 in the men's bathroom
that you were in, that time frame from, say, 98 to now, whenever, there's guys that, you're right, with the identifiers, like, these people are going to stay at 82nd. There's also people like that stayed in USAR forever or stayed at 1st Cav Division forever.
Even USARC and USAREC, I mean, in recruiting.
Yeah. Well, mech units with Sympathy Armed Force, once you become a Mike Golf, you're not going anywhere near a light unit. It's like, nope.
Well, there used to be that unicorn when they had the division Mike Golf at Bragg.
Yeah. It was like,
there was a Jumpmaster and Mike Golf.
Yeah. Very few Mike Golfs, Rangers, and Jumpmasters.
Yeah.
That's the unicorn. It's like, you're the one. It's like Warrant Officer 5's like, where's he at?
Yeah. Well, you left quite a legacy because I think that's one of the reasons, circling full, one of the reasons why you're on this podcast is because so many people reached out and said, this guy left a major impact on me and my career. So, you never know what, you're just going through the motions, doing your job, training soldiers and that type of stuff. But when you spend that much time there, you either leave a legacy of people that don't want to remember you or have bad memories. But in your case, I want to share with you, you had great memories, man, of people that reached out.
But I remember like that whole thing with the Instagram post. That was what really blew up. Was that?
Well, that's what it started.
Yeah, that's a picture of me actually marching a division into St. Mary Gleason, Normandy.
Yeah.
I was there for the 78th anniversary, which has a proud moment. We walking into St. Mary Gleason, which is the first town liberated by the Americans, which was the 82nd. It's like our home away from home over there. And that got posted on it, and I saw people was like, one guy posted it kind of made me laugh. Like, people that stay in a unit their whole career, they just, it's like, I agree. I do agree with this person. I do. It's like, but those are the people that don't try to do change. They're the ones that get happy and they're just coasting through their career. It's like, no, you always have to affect change no matter where you're at. If you're a team leader, what can we change? How do we make this organization better? And that's the way I always liked it. Like, I remember I had an old first sergeant one time. He goes like, get out of the Army when you're not having fun anymore. I was having fun. They actually let me extend 2 extra years because an EA could only stand for 26 years. When I was in Poland, the thing came down. It's back when all the COVID stuff was still going on. We weren't getting soldiers in the Army. So the Army said, hey, this year group of E8s, you can extend 2 more years. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. That's 2 more years. That's 2.5% more on my retirement. I'll stay next year. That's no problem. And I enjoyed it because I was an operations sergeant major after I left the HAC brigade. I was sitting in position because the sergeant major academy doesn't produce enough sergeant majors.
Right.
So especially like the 82nd, you have to have certain qualifications to sit in those positions. You have to be airborne qualified. Most of the guys have to be a Jumpmaster. And probably more than half the operations sergeant majors in the 82nd are E8s. Yeah.
Did you get frock then for?
No, I was just a master sergeant doing the job for like a year and a half.
Yeah. What is it? How does it make you feel when you hear the guys actually had that kind of impact on them as a leader?
I wish they told it to my face. No, it was great. Because one of the things is like one thing we do in the Army, which no other organization in the world does it. Like probably all the other our branches did say, we train our replacements every day.
Yep.
Every day. And some people say, hey, you upset you never made a sergeant major? It's like, no. Hey, what about some of your soldiers that made sergeant major before you? It's like, proud. That's our job. We train them. Matter of fact, my last battalion, one of the kids that was a first sergeant in our battalion, he was in my weapons squad when I was a weapons squad leader.
Nice.
And I think he's in the sergeant major academy right now. He might be graduating.
Wow.
So I was very proud of him. I was very proud of Private Featherson going on.
That's so cool.
Becoming a sergeant major. I was like, no, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to train our replacements every day.
Yeah.
It's like you can't be the first sergeant forever.
Yeah.
You got to teach the people how to do the job and how to mold them to do the jobs in the Army. Like, I loved being a first sergeant, like especially a line first sergeant. You have your hands in everything. You're helping the XO. You're helping the commander. Because a lot of people, the commander, it's like a lot of younger people in the Army, the commander is infallible. No, half the time they're nervous, they're scared, and they do stupid shit. That's what the first sergeant for. That senior enlisted advisor is going to make or break that company commander's career. So if you're helping them out, hey, should we do this? Let's do this. One policy I always had in all the companies I had, nothing goes on the commander's desk before it goes across mine first. Like, even stupid range con-ops. It's like, Lieutenant, did your platoon sergeant see this? No. It's like, did your squad leader see this? No. Go back to your NCOs. They're going to teach you how to do this. It's not coming back through here until it gets NCO eyes on it, because this is bullshit.
That's one relationship that I always thought was one of the coolest, was the first sergeant and platoon leader relationship.
Mm-hmm. I mentored, like it's funny because I never got lunch as a first sergeant, because the only time a first sergeant has time to himself is lunchtime to do his work. And I used to come in early to do my work because I wasn't going to let my family suffer. And I learned that a long time ago. It's like 5 o'clock, I'm walking up that door. If we have nothing going on, I'm yelling at kids, get the hell out of here. They're great to work. If we're not doing stuff, there's no reason to be sitting around.
Yeah, totally.
But I would come in early, knock out a bunch of work, so nobody's walking in my office. Like the 4 lieutenants that work in a company, they're always in my office asking questions. I always ask you, ask your platoon sergeant first. Yeah, he didn't know. Okay, this is how this works. And I loved that, the coach, mentor, and training part. I loved it. I loved being there. Even when I was in the 3 shop working as the ops sergeant major, all the lieutenants up there always asking the questions. Like, there's never a dumb question. I might make fun of you because it's kind of stupid, but it's like, and don't be afraid to fail. It's like, you're going to grow much more if you fail. Yeah. And I love doing that. Love training the soldiers. And that's what I liked about being in the Army so long. I was still having fun all the way up until the end.
So what would be the advice that you would then give to somebody who's maybe in your same boat, where they're constantly in a cycle or a rotation where they feel like they may be out of control, or where's the next rank going to come and all that type of stuff?
That's one problem I think the Army has, is people worry about the rank.
Yeah.
It's like, stop worrying about it. It's going to come sooner or later. So I was an E7 for 8 years. I stopped worrying about it and like, for whatever. It'll come. I mean, as long as you're doing good things and taking care of your soldiers and your paratroopers, your NCOERs are going to write themselves. Your OERs are going to write. As long as you're taking care of them and doing good training and not being a dick, you'll be fine. I mean, you have to be a dick every now and then, But it's like you have to, you have to just do your job.
Yeah.
It's like just have fun with it. You don't have it. You're gonna have hard days, and there's always those hard days. We're at that 2100. But if you can minimum those hard days, you're gonna have a good working environment. You really will.
What's the next for Matt?
Right now, I'm doing the stay-at-home dad thing until we figure out what's going on. I mean, I don't know. I've only really been out of.
You grew the beard. Yeah, that's good, man.
That's a 6-week beard.
I'm telling you.
No, it's longer than that.
Okay.
So I
I was gonna have to go and.
I do get compliments all the time.
That's a manly beard.
Even the barber's like, "Hey, wow, you no holes. It's like you can grow a good beard."
Yeah.
So I'm growing a beard right now.
Good.
Trying to figure out the next step.
That's a great plan.
Wife went back to work, so so I'm just.
How old are the kids?
I think it's
my kids. How old are they?
Yeah.
One is 16.
Oh,
the one is 7 going on 8.
Okay, so you still have to be the dad at least at home.
Yeah,
and got
that last
kids.
one, that was one of those battalion ball babies.
Thanks. Thanks, Grog.
What is it you want to do in case somebody's listening?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the Army so long, and that's all I wanted to do when I was growing up. So once your dream job's over, it's like, what do I do next?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out. We've been kicking it down the road. Do I want to go back to finish my college degree?
Yeah.
I was thinking about, I can go get a trade or something like that.
What did Dad tell you?
Dad's retired now too. He's like, you sit here and retired with me. We can do all this fun stuff. I'm like, that sounds fun too. Dad's getting up in age, so it's like,
Yeah. No, man, I really appreciate you coming all this way from Massachusetts. I had no idea that you were coming from Massachusetts.
Well,
I thought you were coming from Bragg.
No,
And-
that's the thing is we moved back home because it's like family there.
yeah.
Our parents are getting older, so they need us around more. So it's like, came to conclusion, we got better education up there. So my oldest son's autistic, so they have a better program at the school he's in. So it's great. He's doing awesome because he's on the football team. He's doing
great.
Cool.
Teenage boy stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you on your way back or?
We're down here for like the whole weekend.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Okay.
We made it like a mini vacation. This is the first time since being out of the Army. It was like, you don't have that tether. It's like looking at the phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And how long was it since the last time you were here at Benning?
2019 is when I went.
Okay, so it's changed quite a bit.
Not really. I'm driving around like, well, that has.
But wait, you got to tell me, like, I'm trying to remember back when we went there the very first time with the tumbleweeds and everything.
When we went down there for
Brett?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I was down there even prior to that. The amount of grass growing too high and...
I don't get that. I know Bragg is having the same problems. Like, we don't run out of Joes. I mean...
Well, they don't give it to them any longer, right?
No.
They have the civilians that do it.
Not on Bragg. The battalion area
I
is
think
still
Benning,
subsidized.
they do.
Yeah, that has always been like that.
That's just so bizarre.
When we were at Kelly Hill, we cut grass.
Yeah, see, I don't understand why that's not stuff,
Like when I was in SFAB over in Kelly Hill,
You cut grass.
we only had to cut that little part around the battalion headquarters.
Yeah.
But because we didn't have barracks, nobody lived in the barracks. And the barracks were still closed when I was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But otherwise, it looks just the same to you then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Airborne school, the footprint really hasn't changed. There's a couple new.
No, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much only the Ranger where they are and stuff, that whole compound.
I haven't
some
been
of that.
down to RTB yet.
Okay. Yeah. RTB, I think it's about the same.
We drove around Batting a little bit today. Tomorrow we're going to probably go hit up the museum, see if anything's changing there. So I haven't seen in a while.
That's one thing I haven't gone to yet. So yeah, you'll have to let me know about that. Well, I'm glad that you came here. You're getting a chance to connect with all the guys down there at Fort Benning. I know several of them are the ones that reached out to me about you and such. So please say hello to those guys.
Yeah.
While you're down there and stuff, and appreciate those guys listening. So thank you once again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet, man.
Thanks, brother.